Oh, there you go.
Live stream, fantastic. And setting up the meeting. Sorry for this delay, but I got a million screens open. Okay, so.
All right, let's do the.
Okay, so we are now live. So let's call the meeting to order and with our pledge of allegiance. So stand if you can. I pledge allegiance
I
to the
pledge
flag
allegiance
of the United States of America and to the
To the
republic
republic for which stands one nation,
under
under God,
under
indivisible, liberty, and
liberty and
justice for all.
all.
Okay, so entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our Thursday, February 2nd meeting.
I'll
Made by Jim, seconded by Bill Dyer.
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Moving on to Natural Resource Manager, Teresa, all sorts of great stuff. General report, garden committee, litter committee, blah, blah, blah. What do you got?
Yeah, busy month. It's like it's like tax season for me, March, April. Let's see, the garden, and we're peak garden registration right now. The forms are flooding in, so I have to go through all of those and get everybody registered, take their payments and their plot assignments and all that.
There you go, Bill.
Hey, how about that?
Oh, how about it?
Moving on to clean sweep. I got the patches. Can you see those?
Yeah,
But
I saw a
that's,
post on that. They're very vibrant.
You have to save me one, Teresa. Put in an envelope for me.
Okay. So this is Trillium. These grow at Birchbank Mountain. So that's the one for this year. And I need to get some more publicity out, but I've just been swamped. And again, I know I've said this before, that the litter committee needs more members, and every meeting gets canceled because somebody's going to be away and we can't get a quorum. And then nobody else is helping out with the publicity and so forth. What I was hoping to get people to step up and start networking.
Teresa, there's I guess a different group, or that's not litter
Shelton
committee.
cleanup project.
Yeah, is there
Yeah.
a way we can get them to maybe get on board to do it?
Been there, done that, working with it, but they really wanted to be separate. But there is overlap, and some of their members joined the litter committee, but then didn't come to the meeting. So, and that
Right.
actually makes it worse when someone joins, because then whether or not you have a quorum depends on how many members you have.
Yep, gotcha.
Right.
So that
Try
just
the
makes
effort.
it, yeah. But we're working on that, and like our patches we'll use, because they have cleanup specific actual projects out in the field. And I would love it if the two could join, because what we need is a more engaged committee, more like the Trails Committee, that actually has work parties and so forth. And we just don't have that at this point. So moving on to Trails and Open Space, Eversource has started work. They're leapfrogging all over Shelton Lakes and elsewhere. They started their work. So I laminated and posted about 15 or 20 signs on the trails before you head into the power lines for all the trails. Basically every trail at Shelton Lakes is going to be impacted.
Do we have, in terms of public informational outreach, I'm refresh my memory, was there something with the Valley Independent Sentinel or Shelton Herald, or
No, and
the
Shelton Herald,
Life, and
yeah, no, I had wanted to do something with the Herald, didn't get to it. Eversource, I've been in communication with Eversource, and they've created their own signs, and going to maybe meet with someone from Eversource next week. I've done posts on social media, and we've had blog posts. The social media is frustrating because I do post for various things, and a lot of times the Facebook just won't send it out to anybody.
correct.
They just won't. Tommy, you probably know what I'm talking about. And
I do.
I'll come back and it's like, this was shown to 7 people.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
What?
I said, are you kidding?
That's
Yeah, no, I'm dead serious.
That's
yeah, they changed their algorithm. It's very hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, frustrating. Some miscellaneous stuff. French's Hill. Had it.
and my email is
Who's
Ryan.
that? Is that you, Jim?
Jim, I think that's you, pal.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Never mind. Keep on
Like a
going,
little
Teresa.
voice
I'm
somewhere.
yeah.
Oh, yeah? You heard something loud, yeah?
listening.
They
Yeah,
were lottery.
No, I had a voicemail come in, so,
no problem. Go ahead,
Okay.
Teresa.
sorry.
So for French's Hill, I had one of our trail enthusiasts contact me because there's a big fire pit that's been there for a while, huge stone fire pit, not far from the trail. But somebody had actually raked a trail out going to the main trail at French's Hill. They raked out this whole big area. They had a tarp, they had a whole bunch of tools, they had a pile of wood getting ready to make a fire. So she told me about it and I went in there, I spent a couple hours. It was a really, really big fire pit, a lot of rocks to move around, put all the leaves back, took the tools and donated them for the Trails Committee. So we nipped that one in the bud because that was right during, there've been warnings about fire season this spring.
Right.
And I can't imagine if a fire started in the middle of French's Hill, how the fire department could even access anything back there. If a fire started. Tamor, just this last weekend on Tamor Preserve. I was just walking my dog and there was a lot of dirt bike damage. And I checked the trail cam that I put out there and got a couple really good pictures of two dirt bikers.
It did look like one of the dirt bikes had a plate on it.
Yeah, I can't read it. And it
Okay.
might be a vanity plate.
Yeah, but that would mean it's a I forget the type of word it is. It's a type of bike that can be registered for the roads and do off-road work. But anyway, it's something you've got to identify. You've put the word out there.
Well, I don't
Maybe
have
that's
them
enough.
identified. I have a picture of them and I put, I think just getting the picture out there is what gives the word because, like I was just saying, I put something out there and Facebook will give it to 7 people. Well, I put this thing out there and a whole bunch of people start sharing and hitting angry. And the algorithms love it when people are angry about something. And then
Yes, they are.
and they share it to more people. And that one, I don't know, has gone out to a couple thousand people or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's intriguing.
And I actually, I didn't report it to the police yet because it's land trust property. I sent it to Joe Welsh and
Yeah.
the pictures, and really it's the land trust that probably needs to do that as the property owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Housatonic Woods. I've really tried to get that one going because keep in mind I've had my eye on that property, the 94 Leavenworth property there that the city just, I had my eye on that since 2013. And I've just been waiting for the city to get a hold of that so we could, open that whole park, 90-acre park now and have this lollipop loop trail, which is fun. And I'd like to just give the public a tangible product really quickly after the purchase of that property.
Mhm.
So we are actually, the Trails Committee is planning on doing a Trails Day hike there on the new
Okay.
trail.
Okay.
And the next 2 work parties for the Trails Committee will be on the new trail, which is going to be called Woods End Trail. I've been working on doing some preliminary clearing and blazing and so forth. There's some parts that are quite challenging through barberry and so forth. I've had the brush cutter out. Certain areas that you can't just take a bunch of high school kids and throw them at it. You need a little more finesse and expertise in trying to figure out which way things should go. But they're all set up for a couple of work parties. I did
Last month we had talked about making some sort of mapping for that whole area, the Housatonic Woods area. Is that right?
I did a map of Housatonic Woods. Did I not share that?
No, I think you did. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
regurgitating from last month.
Yeah.
what the topic is that you're talking about.
Right. Right. So I did the map. And I did a blog post, but I took a little extra time with the idea that it would be used for the core of a Shelton Life article in the future. I kind of work on my wording a little differently if it's going to be in Shelton Life as opposed to a blog, which is more casual.
Okay.
That'll be ready to go. So, yeah, June 2nd or something like that. Maybe that's the official opening of the
Well, first Saturday of June is always National
Yeah.
Trails Day.
Trails Day. And then the
June
Shelton
3rd.
Riverwalk. I did assist Paul Grimmer and Alita Miner to submit a grant application
Thank
for
you.
the DEP's Recreational Trails Program grant. They're asking for $400,000.
Wow.
And I did a couple maps for that with the idea of a few tweaks, and those can be public maps for the Riverwalk.
Okay.
And I actually went out there and documented some features. Like I went out and counted, where all the benches were, and because they were asking about accessibility features and how many handicap spaces were in the parking lot and so forth. And so I found some in the section that's behind the former Avalon, which is now called Marion Riverwalk. There were some bricks popping up about this far. There was tree root had come underneath, and it's actually quite easy to trip on a brick walk when some of the bricks have popped up like that. So I did forward that over to the mayor's office, and they got right on that. So Parks and Rec out. Kelly Vizano is great. Fix that up, because that's the kind of thing. Terry tripped on some bricks like that in Meriden a couple of years ago and got his face all scraped up, and yeah.
Right.
Submitted the budget for next year, so we're all set there. And that's all I can think of for right now.
Okay. Bill Dyer, work parties, hikes, and maybe Teresa touched on Eversource, so.
Right, we did have the Marshmallow March. We had to postpone it a day, which I was afraid we'd not have people. We ended up with 28 people and a bunch of dogs, and it really worked out very well. And we didn't set the woods on fire, so Joe was happy about that. And then actually, then we went over to see his maple sugaring shack. I mean, he'd have to sell 10,000 quarts of maple syrup to pay for what they've done, but it's a great family project, and it's fun.
I was with his son Ryan they came up to Vermont to ski with me when Ryan expressed this idea that he had to do maple sugaring, and so the whole weekend I was challenging, like, oh, well, what's it going to be called? And he says, well, I'm mostly doing maple syrup. I said, well, there you go, mostly maple. He said, what's your business plan? And so it was neat to now see that it's advanced with the Sugar Shack building, and he's tapping trees in the land trust, and so Ryan's a good egg. He works for me here at the farm seasonally. So
Okay, yeah, not a good year for it, I guess. It's only
tough. I talked to Joe tonight because they have a land trust meeting,
okay.
and
Right.
he said that this weekend was probably going to be the last weekend him and Ryan were going to try and get some more going, but it's been kind of a rough spring with the way the temperatures have rocked. So
And so, yeah, we're trying, the Gator is 20 years old. So we're rebuilding the carburetor, and the tires are unbelievable. They're like over $200 each. We may have to bite that bullet, but it's crazy. I mean, they're small, but so, a few maintenance issues, but now things are going well.
okay.
Of course, the biggest issues we're going to have is with Eversource and closing down trails and whatever.
I know, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I was actually thinking about that during my travels, as I've seen so many ski lifts being built on areas of glacier or difficult terrain, and I thought, maybe they could have just taken down a tower or built a new tower next to it instead of having to build all these inroads and timber pads for cranes and stuff. But the ship has sailed. But it's just interesting when you see other locations that have to work within historic footprints and restrictions of it costs money, but it can be done. But anyway. So.
Well, of course, in this case, we got a monopoly, so they just do what they do. And
yeah.
doesn't matter much what it costs, but what are you gonna do?
All right, Ed McCreary's not here, but I don't think there's any updates to the Shelton Canal Locks project on its own that I'm aware of. Is there anything, Jim, that you're aware of? I don't think so.
Nothing to report, and I wouldn't report it. Ed would report it, so.
Yep,
we'll-
understood. Under reviews, coming home from being away so long, it was kind of jarring to me to drive down Long Hill Avenue and see development parcels that we had talked about already cleared, and so it made me think with the property there on Long Hill Avenue that the Prestige Builders had wanted to have a conservation easement as part of their approval through ZBA. Was that kind of, does that kind of stuff get flagged as to here's the limit zone and don't cut these trees down, or conservation easements? Do we have the metal tags that define that like we do with our city open space or anything?
Yeah, we do have those, little signs, and they should go up. I could touch base with Alex. I mean, Rick used to make sure that those went up, but with the personnel.
Touch base with Alex on that. It should be simple. I just think it would be of value to do it while the site moonscaping is going on.
Sure.
I had just put on our agenda things from last month just to follow up with the Great River Water Club, the Murphy's Boatyard area that Auto Swage was appended to for their PDD modification. In watching the P&Z meeting, I didn't see them talk about having a CAM study, coastal area management study. I would have thought, even though it's an existing PDD, because of the amendment of the Auto Swage parcel, they would have had to update or revise that. So I know that's still an open project or public hearing portion. Maybe Teresa, you could talk with Alex about the CAM study that.
Oh, yeah, because if you recall, so I did send him an email on behalf of or a memo on behalf of this commission asking if a CAM study was needed. And he did call me just today to try and clarify if he was asking if conservation had a particular interest in CAM, or what our role was with CAM. And I said we didn't really have a role with it. We were just asking the question if that was done. So I guess he's looking into it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's not when you have an area that's coastal affected, it's more than just the Shelton municipality. It's what the impact is to Milford and
Right.
and everything. That's why it's a coastal, not a municipal. So all right, so it sounds like things are being reviewed with that. The Cedar Village at the Locks at 281 Canal Street. Teresa and I interacted today regarding finishing off that letter. I had a conversation with Alex regarding where the Riverwalk had been conceptually outlined on some planning documents, and he was of the opinion that it hadn't really been defined as going all the way to the locks. I said, no, certainly there's some documents that support what we have all been working for ages. And so, researching some of my emails and Teresa finding, like even in our open space plan, it had been defined. So Teresa finished off drafting.
Did you see the attachment?
I did, yeah.
I did that. Basically, there was it had been done for the grant application for the Riverwalk, and basically anything in the open space plan that talked about the Riverwalk, I took an excerpt of that and I put it in the document and highlighted that section in yellow. So I just and then even the map clearly showed the Riverwalk going all the way up to just about the dam.
Yeah.
In the open space plan.
It really it boggles my mind. It just really puzzles me as to why all of these city agencies that have given input to these planning documents, then when an application comes forward, can't realize, oh yeah, it's not supposed to be a 6-foot wide sidewalk. it just boggles my mind. And in talking to Teresa about it, we do have a lot of new people on either commissions, planning and zoning, board of aldermen, in the planning and zoning department. And it does make me think that it might be time or an opportunity or a juncture for giving a little re-education as to what the conservation role is, what our conservation goals and vision has been with our planning documents that they have then approved and are supposed to implement with applications. So beyond this subject matter, there will be in the not too distant future hopefully some major property parcels for preservation. And in years past, when we did the purchase of the Aquarian properties or a referendum for purchase of development rights and various properties, there's been a lot of new people move into the community. And there's a lot of people who have moved out of the community that might have had the knowledge of what is valued for those aspects of open space and land preservation and balance and so on. I think it's 2023 is going to be a year where we have to start planting the seeds of reintroducing or reminding people.
Teresa, did you send the steep grant to planning and zoning by any chance? Do they have to sign off on that?
The steep grant?
The one for SEDC.
Oh, to send the grant to planning and zoning?
No, does planning and zoning know that we did that grant, and or do they have to write a letter to support that grant?
No.
Well, we should, once we have that grant done and you submit it, just let's make a copy of it and send it to the planning and zoning commission.
Okay,
Well, it's
SCDC
SEDC who's doing it,
did
so
the
we should
grant.
ask Paul to.
Well, whatever,
copy them, yeah.
whoever's doing it, because it's being done by multiple people, the way it's been done. So let's make sure P and Z has a copy of it. So in case we have to refer to it, because it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. Okay. So in summation, Teresa finished compiling the letter, and we got it to Alex today because planning and zoning was supposed to be taking up the subject of that Cedar Village at the locks at their meeting, early afternoon today.
All right.
And then the open space dedication from that Gamble Place property. Last month, Ed McCreary mentioned that the land trust was acceptable to receiving that as a property. But I talked to Joe Welsh, and he said, really, land trust should go through a proper review and a vote on accepting it. So just kind of keep an eye on it, Teresa. I'm not really concerned about, some nefarious kind of thing, but we just got to make sure that the deed eventually gets filed. If it's not with the land trust, it'd be with the city of Shelton. I don't know why it was created this whole little debacle about maybe it should go to a land trust instead of the city of Shelton, but just in the back of my head, I remember when I first came on this commission and doing a review of the properties around the intermediate school campus with all the Shelton Lakes parcels, and coming upon the open space dedication from Summerfield Gardens and finding that the deed had never been filed for the open space, and bringing it up to Rick, and turned out that the deed had been in his desk for a couple of years and not filed in the city clerk's office. It was a little disappointing, but it's these kind of things can fall through the cracks when it's created. Is it supposed to go to the land trust? Supposed to go to the city of Shelton, and then months can go by and it get forgotten about.
And I no longer get copied in from the city attorney that we have now does not, and I've asked him a couple times, but he does not copy me in when we get open space. And so I have to go look for these things.
Yeah.
Well, the mayor should know that, Teresa. So We
I think
write a
Tom is,
letter, we can write a letter, but the mayor should know that you're not getting copied from the attorney.
I think Chairman Tom, I think you could address that.
I mean,
Okay.
I had mentioned it one time to Kelly Visano.
Well, Kelly's got a lot on her plate.
She
She
does.
would be good, but I think the mayor will assign it to whatever, but I think that you should that he needs to know that.
Yeah, maybe I, like Bill says, maybe I as chairman could just send a memo to
That's fine. Good.
them, yeah. Speaking of those kind of internal things, and I don't think there's anything more pending with applications that we would be involved with, and the open space trust account, I did get an email from the finance department saying that there was no activity for the calendar year, and that the last revenue they recorded was in September of 2021, and that nothing has been paid out. So what that tells me is that the Huntington Woods sale of that dedicated city open space for $11,500, which I knew was not deposited into the open space trust account because Lynn said that it had been put into some general account. And I brought it up to the mayor at the meeting in his office. Teresa was there when we said that, we wanted to pursue that property on Leavenworth Road. And by the way, this open space sale, the payment didn't go into the open space trust account. And he said, well, we'll take care of it. It's just a clerical error. And well, that clerical error hasn't been corrected. And, that whole particular parcel of being sold without the Board of Aldermen approval or.
Hey, Tom, if you've got
I don't need to go into it all. It's
Listen,
just
if we
upsetting.
have those issues, that's very important that you just write it down and we put it in a letter.
Yep.
From the Conservation Commission saying these are our concerns. And you send it to the mayor, or you send it to Kelly, or you send it to whoever. But you got to get documented. You got to document the fact that these things haven't occurred the way they're supposed to occur. You just document it and send it. And then we'll
Yeah.
go from there. I mean, it may not be our choice to deal with that, but at least it's documented that we did what we were supposed to do. But
Agreed.
just to talk about it's not good enough.
Understood. Yeah, and I totally understand, Jim. That's really the direction I was going to be heading. It's just I've held off on doing any of that until I had the confirmation from Lynn
Okay.
in finance, which
Yeah.
she gave to me there on February 7th. So
Fair enough.
we're
Fair
good.
enough. Fair enough.
Pick your battles.
Uh,
11
Yeah, I'm not
There are no-
I'm
there are
not
no
looking to make a
battles.
battle here.
Listen,
I'm not
there are
looking to
no
make a
battles,
battle. That ship
documentation.
sailed. Really, all that I could do, as Jim said, is like, we're just
Yeah.
documenting what has
Sure.
occurred. And
Right.
if other parties want to pursue it,
That's right.
fine. But I am not going to not say anything.
No, that's fine. I agree with you, but you have to document it.
So the only other stuff I had was on the quality of life. We talked about the Leavenworth Road parcel, of course, but while I was away, I guess the city with the Wells property, the Bear Plain Farm with Laura Wells, they've
Yeah,
upped their offer, and the money's coming
Revolving.
from the American Rescue Fund or something. I don't know how it's being funded, but it will not be dedicated open space. It'll just be transitional, municipally owned property, which it is what it is. But just personally, it's odd to buy a property so you can avoid or prevent somebody from buying it to do development. I don't think that's the role of government, but that's a whole philosophical issue. So with that, anything, comments by members? Let's start with Bill. You're in the lower corner for me, so I'll start with you.
The property on Shelton Ave, it's 5 acres. It's going to be 16 houses.
By who?
Is that
Doesn't matter. When that application
Guess
comes
who?
before us,
Guess who?
it doesn't matter. We'll deal with that when it
Well,
becomes an application in front of us.
it's already gone through wetlands, I guess, and it's progressing on. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so when it comes
Is-
to our plate, then we'll deal with it.
That's right.
but what is it? Is it a
Uh,
Are we gonna get any open space as a result of it?
Don't know.
We don't know yet. We haven't seen anything.
Well, I
But-
mean,
Well,
is it a subdivision or is it
Don't know.
oh,
It's not, I mean, I regularly look at the planning and zoning's, page where they post drawings. They now use a Google Drive methodology to have applicants even upload it on their own to a repository, and it hasn't been reached that stage yet. So there's
there's a
no
lot
sense
of
in,
controversy from Aspetuck and some of the neighboring
right.
people about it, so I'm sure we're gonna hear more about it. I
Yeah.
think it's
no
early.
sense in conjecturing.
No,
When we have an application, then
Right.
we'll comment on it then.
I mean, it's already gone through wetlands. How could there go
well,
through
that
that?
doesn't mean anything,
applic-
though, really. What?
Don't you have to have an application to go through wetlands and show where you're gonna throw buildings and stuff? No,
Yes,
necessarily.
wetlands typically does it first, and they deal with it from a very statutory process of scientifically, these are wetland soils, not just ponds or vernal pools. I
Right.
mean, it's a soil type study that has to be done, and the upland review area, and it's a very, they are an agency basically of the state with wetlands, is my understanding of how it works. And so that has to occur before an application for planning and zoning. And sometimes it could be concurrent, but once it's a planning and zoning application that we're asked to give referral on, and then we will.
okay.
Anything else, Bill?
No, that's good.
Going to be a good year for the Red Sox?
It was a good year for us in Georgia. Let me just say that.
Oh, I guess it was.
Oh, set all-time February high temperature records. It was amazing.
Wow.
Sherry, what do you have to bring to the table?
Nothing.
Oh, come on.
Well, I have
There you-
registered, I've registered for a nature journaling course because I nature journal and have done it for years, and I've never done a course. So it's called Sparks in Nature. And the first thing we're doing is trees. That's what kind of triggered
Cool.
me actually joining. So I'm doodling and sketching and walking in the woods in a different than letterboxing, but equally it's cold out there right now to sit and draw. So
Right.
sometimes I take a photograph and come back.
Good idea.
But
Great.
that's about it. And helping with the clean sweep. I got to register every day. I have a little list that I do every day, and it's like register for clean sweep. Oh, yeah. So I have something. Speaking about picking up garbage. So Andy and I were driving, I think it was to the Russian Club meeting. So that would be the first weekend of February. And it was cold, but not freezing. And we went down by Shelton Avenue, and this woman had 2 garbage bags full of garbage as she was picking up. And I said to Andy, we were going fast. And I said, I would love to tell her thank you. Well, the meetings are typically 2 or 3 hours easy because they feed you and everything. Coming back, now she's up near the high school.
Wow.
Yeah, so she got the sweatband on. She was younger than me, but like probably 45, 50. And I
I
said,
think I've
stop.
seen her.
Yeah, I go, stop the car, stop the
Not
car.
much
She
either.
lives in Ansonia. And she, her name was Deanna. I told her all about Don't Trash Shelton and the clean sweep, I told her we appreciated it, but she doesn't just pick it up in Ansonia. She picks up garbage wherever but she had like garbage bags full. So I know she's to sit there for 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
Yep.
Hmm.
So yeah, I forgot about that. I'm glad I remembered. Because I was gonna email it. I'm always gonna do something, right? I think of it, I'm gonna do that.
Aren't we all?
And then I go to work.
Right.
Teresa, do you have anything to add to tonight?
I do not.
On to Jim Tate.
Nothing to add, just been, all sorts of things, but nothing to add to this meeting, so
Right.
good.
Well, as I recounted a little bit of my travels, it was really special. So
Glad you're home safe.
Glad you're home. Glad you had a good
Yeah.
time.
I had 10 airplane flights amongst 10 airports, 2 rounds of golf. I had skied in 3 ski areas across 4 countries. Yeah, it was
Not a lot of snow there though, right?
you're right. We were concerned about that, and I think that kept some of the crowds away. That they've had a very mild winter. It's the worst snow at the place we were at since 1963.
Cool.
Wow.
So
Gotta go to Tahoe.
or Japan. Japan has had a ton of snow.
Yeah,
But even
Fish
even here in Vermont, some of the ski areas in Vermont, this
Terrible.
past week when they had a bunch of snow was when they finally fully opened, and here we are now in March.
right.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
a weird year for weather. So,
La Nina.
yeah. So. All right. Well, with that done, we stand adjourned, everybody.
All right. Take
All
care.
right.
Bye,
meeting.
good night. Bye, Teresa.
Bye.
Save me a thing. I'll come down and pick it up.
Okay.
I can't talk. Patch.